Have you ever felt like you're trapped in a prison, but you can't see the walls? For many of us, that prison is built not with steel bars, but with our own thoughts. This was the story of Daniel, a man who lived in a cage of his own making, without even realizing it. Daniel believed the world was a cold, harsh place. He saw people as selfish, rude, and untrustworthy. Before anyone could even say hello, he had already judged them. Because of these beliefs, he avoided conversations, pushed away acts of kindness, and kept a safe, lonely distance from everyone. He walked around with a constant weight on his chest, a deep bitterness that he blamed on the world around him. He felt trapped, not by others, but by his own mind. One morning, Daniel was sitting in his usual corner at a cafe. He heard two people laughing nearby. Instantly, his mind jumped to a conclusion. They were laughing at him. He felt a hot rush of anger. His chest tightened. His hands began to tremble with resentment. Without a second thought, he stormed out of the cafe, the sound of their laughter echoing in his ears like a personal attack. That night, he couldn't sleep. He replayed the scene over and over in his head. Each time, the story grew darker. In his mind, their laughter wasn't just careless, it was malicious. He imagined them pointing, whispering cruel things about his clothes, his expression, his very existence. He was feeding the shadows in his mind, and they were growing stronger, consuming any sliver of peace he might have had. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel's loneliness deepened. He became a master at misinterpreting the world. A stranger's smile was no longer a friendly gesture. It was a smirk, a sign of mockery. The silence of a cashier wasn't just a quiet moment. It was a deliberate act of disrespect. An offer of help wasn't kindness. It was a trick, a form of manipulation. His world, which was already small, began to shrink even further. It became a cold, empty echo chamber where his worst fears were confirmed at every turn. He was convinced everyone disliked him, because that was the only story he allowed himself to believe. One afternoon, a sudden, heavy rainstorm forced Daniel to seek shelter. He ducked into the first dry place he could find, a quiet, old library. As he stood there, dripping and frustrated, an elderly librarian named Samuel approached him. Samuel had a gentle face and kind eyes. He had noticed the tension in Daniel's posture, the deep frown etched on his face. "Young man," Samuel asked softly, "why do you look at the world as if it's your enemy?" Daniel was taken aback by the direct question. He scowled and replied, his voice tight with frustration, "Because it is. People are unkind, they judge me. They always think the worst of me." He expected Samuel to argue or dismiss him, but the old librarian did something unexpected. He walked over to a dusty shelf and returned with a small, tarnished mirror. He held it up to Daniel. "Look closely," Samuel said. "The face you show the world often becomes the face the world shows you." Daniel stared at his reflection. He didn't just see a man in his 30s. He saw a face hardened by suspicion. His brows were furrowed, his jaw was tight, and his eyes were narrowed, full of fear and distrust. He looked closed off, inaapproachable, and defensive. He looked like someone who expected a fight. Samuel continued, his voice calm and steady. "If your mind is filled with shadows, everything you see will look dark. It's like wearing sunglasses indoors. You start to believe the whole world is dim. But if you let in even one small ray of light, you'll see that the picture changes." For the first time in a very long time, Daniel felt something shift inside him. It wasn't the familiar sting of anger or the heavy weight of sadness. It was something new, something quieter. It was awareness. He stood there in the silent library, the sound of the rain outside seeming to wash away some of his defenses. The librarian's words echoed in his mind, not as a criticism, but as a gentle invitation to see things differently. The next morning, Daniel woke up with Samuel's words still fresh in his mind. The face you show the world. As he left his apartment, he saw his neighbor, a woman he usually avoided by staring at his phone. This time, he did something different. He took a breath, looked up, and offered a small, hesitant smile. The neighbor, surprised, broke into a warm, genuine smile in return. "Morning, Danielle," she said cheerfully. The simple, friendly exchange sent a tiny ripple of warmth through him. It was a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. Later that day, while walking through the park, he saw a young boy drop a stack of books. Daniel's old instinct was to walk past, to not get involved. But today, he stopped. He knelt down and helped the child gather the scattered books. The boy looked up at him, his eyes wide and bright. "Thank you, Mr." he said, with a heartfelt gratitude that was impossible to misinterpret. That small moment felt more meaningful than anything Daniel had done in a long time. With each small act of openness, Daniel felt the darkness inside him begin to soften. It was like a thick fog slowly starting to lift. He started holding the door for people, saying thank you to the bus driver, and making eye contact with cashiers. He learned that when he actively looked for goodness in people, he found it. When he stopped assuming the worst, he began to see people not as one-dimensional villains, but as complex human beings, who's like him. They weren't perfect, but they weren't the monsters he had imagined either. Daniel finally came to a profound realization. His crushing loneliness didn't come from the world rejecting him. It came from his own thoughts, rejecting the world. He had been the one building the walls, locking the doors, and then complaining about being alone in the room. He was the guard and the prisoner, all at once. A few weeks later, Daniel returned to the old library, a genuine smile on his face, eager to thank the man who had changed his life. But Samuel was nowhere to be found. The librarian at the desk told him that Samuel had retired and moved away. Daniel's heart sank. But the librarian handed him a small, folded note left behind for him. Daniel unfolded it. The note contained a single sentence, written in elegant, old-fashioned script. Light grows wherever you choose to see it. He held that note close, feeling its truth resonate deep within him. It became his constant reminder. The world hadn't changed, but he had. And in changing his inner world, his outer world had transformed completely. He finally understood that peace wasn't something you find out there. It's something you create within. By changing his thoughts, Daniel had finally set himself free. If Daniel's story resonates with you, know that you're not alone. Sometimes, the bravest journey we can take is the one from our head to our heart. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the power of the human mind.